8 in our draft. So I'm going to come out and say it. Like, Drake London's been my guy for months. Like, you guys know, even during the college football season, I was like, hey, this is the guy I want on the Chiefs next year. Like, after he'd broken his ankle and was out for the season. 6'3", 219 pounds. Everybody is going to say Mike Evans, which, hand up. That's what I said too. 85 to 90% of Mike Evans is what you hope he can be. He's a basketball player who played a bit in college, extensively on the AAU circuit. His leaping skills, he's a natural high point guy who wins like every contested catch. T. Higgins, I think, is another pretty solid comp for him as far as that goes. Here's a little trivia time for you, Dalton. He's one of only 5 Power 5 players to average 11 catches a game through at least 8 games. He only played 8 games this year, and it was exactly 11 catches a game. Can you name the other one? I'll even give you the conference, and I'll give you the year.
I really want to say Justin Blackmon.
No, but right conference, Big 12, and 2007, which everyone knows was the best year in college football history.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. I didn't watch enough football in 2007 to give you the answer, but I can't believe Justin Blackmon.
Any guesses? This guy, think about it. This guy's like, when you think of Big 12 college receivers, this guy is like probably the elite of the elite in college, not in NFL, although he was pretty good in the NFL.
Well, Justin Blackmon was the elite of the elite.
Johnny, any guesses?
Is it Dez?
Not Dez. You guys are really zeroed in on Oklahoma State here. Michael Crabtree, 2007.
Oh, my God.
That's right. Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, Drake London's season was cut short due to injury. 8 games, 88 receptions, 1,084 yards, and 7 touchdowns, which is like, that's a full season for a lot of these other guys we're looking at. He did that in 8 games. The one concern you maybe have is the drops. He had 8 drops his last year. He kind of secures catches away from his body a little bit when he doesn't have to, I think. But also he, whether by his own volition or as maybe we'll talk about his quarterback's volition of being just straight dog water, has to go up for contested catches all the time. You're going to have more drops in those situations than if you're open all the time, like some of these other guys. That's just not really his type. He's got pretty good yards after the catch skills, Dalton, even for a guy that's 6'3", 219. I'm going to pull up this highlight from him if you want to start your Drake London monologue.
Well, and I was going to say that's one of the reasons I have an issue with the Mike Evans comp is he's a better tackle breaker than Mike Evans. Now, he's not a get up and get the ball like Mike Evans is.
I don't know. He's pretty close to a get up and get the ball like Mike Evans.
But he's definitely a tackle breaker after the catch, too. Right now, it's funny because we mentioned this earlier. He was one of the guys who had, he was the overall consensus one.
Look at this.
Receiver.
This is what the FBI does not want you to see.
Look, I mean, he's running like a running back right now. He's absurd.
And that's what everyone's – that's the Treylon Burks thing. But it's like, if he could do that a little bit like Treylon Burks, but also he's better at everything else than Treylon Burks, my God.
Yeah, well, and that's the exciting thing. It's funny that he's falling in draft right now because he refused to run a 40 at his pro day. But he had a 31.8% dominator rating as a 20-year-old at USC in only 8 games. That means he accounted for 32% of his team's offense, and his yards per route run was 2.32, and he had 23% of his plays were explosive on a grading scale. This guy, he really does match everything. The big concern is that I went to Matt Harmon and looked, and on some of the NFL staple routes, he failed to register top 6 yards per route run in this class. But his quarterback play out of everybody except for probably Treylon Burks out of the top 5, it was so abysmal that you can kind of understand it. I watched a 3-minute montage of Drake London coming back to the catch multiple times.
There's one specifically where he has a guy beat on a vertical route, and he has to come back to it, and he would have scored a touchdown on a good throw. Instead, he makes the catch, a contested catch, and just gets absolutely lit up. You can see why the guy perhaps broke his ankle at some point during the season. He was taking a lot of hits, and again, it's not like he's not a separator, but I don't think this is like an Alshon Jeffery where it's like, my God, this guy, good player, but man, he's blanketed he can't get open at all. I think he's better than that. I think he'll be able to get open better than like that type of guy. But he's not going to be like the Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, like get open all the time. But he's got the other attributes where he doesn't have to be.
Yeah, well, and there is an Alshon Jeffery in this draft class, and we'll get to him here in a bit. The other thing, and we're just going to hear about this nonstop, but I can't wait for every Sunday to hear Drake London play basketball when he catches a red zone target and scores a touchdown.
Yes.
But I'm pretty happy. I hope he lands in an environment with a good quarterback. And obviously you said that about every wide receiver, but him especially, because these guys who go up and catch contested 50-50 balls need a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, or Russell Wilson to really elevate their value, as opposed to somebody like Jameson Williams, who you just watch him streak down the field. And it's a lot easier for their quarterback to recognize that they're open.
But I will say the difference between him and like a Kenny Galladay is that he was in the slot his first couple of years and then moved outside this last year. Like he kind of played all over the place. And I think like even on that bubble screen that I showed where he broke some tackles, like he can do some more of that stuff, I think, than people might realize when they just hear Mike Evans when you talk about London. I think he's going to be a starter wherever he goes. I think he is the safest bet of any prospect in this entire class to be good. That's my take.